Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle for the second stream of the day. And Leicester content creators have been very much busy, haven't we? Today, Blocks is his fourth stream today. This is my second, and a lot of you are tuned in to this one. Is Gary O'Neill, is he next for Leicester City? There's been a lot of managers linked with the Leicester City job over these last few weeks. Chris Wilder, Sean Dyche, Danny Rohl. Probably Steve from McDonald's will probably get fucking linked at some point to this job. Ronald McDonald might as well apply. But Leicester, Gary O'Neill, what is everyone's thoughts? I mean, I've seen a big meltdown on social media with this one. It doesn't really appetise fans, does it, this one? It's not really one some would say get behind, but then we did appoint Steve Cooper last season. So which one was worse, Gary O'Neill or Steve Cooper? You answered me that one, but get involved. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. That'll help me out massively. And let's get my good mate Locks in from Blue Tinted Glasses. Locks, how are we?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. Very much interested with this one, to be fair. Some say another cheap option by Leicester City using the agency of Wasserman, where they did get Enzo Maresca from. Chris Wilder is another one who is very much a acquaint of that agency as well. Gary O'Neill is the latest now to be the front runner. It's like a bloody horse race at Leicester City, isn't it? Who's going to become the manager and which one is Rookie riding? No, less of that.
He's riding top. That's what he's riding.
What's your initial thoughts? I mean, today there's been the Percy bomb, hasn't there, on Chris Wilder. Gary O'Neill has held talks with Leicester as well. No mention of Sean Dyche in that one, but there was with Danny Rohl. How was your initial thinking of it when it first came out regarding John Percy?
What, the Gary O'Neill link?
Yeah.
Disappointing again, man, because it's just when I know we probably shouldn't have, but we got excited over Danny Rohl because I think Danny Rohl would be a very good appointment, and I think it's probably what the club needs, and I think it fits and suits what the club need right now. And to then be linked with along with that Dyche, Russell Martin earlier in the summer, which I didn't mind too much, but Gary O'Neill, Chris Wilder. For me, it's just so frustrating because there are names out there. If you look beyond the who kept a team up in the Premier League, if you look beyond the which managers are with Wasserman, if you look beyond all of that, there are options out there. And it just, like, you'd think, right, if somebody said, oh, we're going to not know who the manager is on the 7th of July because the club are going to be looking far and wide for a manager that fits what they want and up and come in and all of this stuff, then you would appreciate that a little bit more. But to wait this long, Jack, and end up with O'Neill, like, mind-blowing. Like, why is it taking this long to appoint a manager that has been out of work since December? It makes no sense.
My issue is, and I've always stated this on the channel to everyone who watches, and they'll back me on it, is what is the style of football? Or what is the plan? Because you look at Enzo's style of football, you'd have thought they'd have a contingency plan, a short list to be up with managers who play that style. So when Enzo leaves, you bring in somebody who fits that module. Leicester went full 360 on bloody Steve Cooper. And then Ruud van Nistelrooy comes in. It got even worse. It went downhill quicker than you think. But then you're looking at the managers. Michael Carrick and Danny Rohl would be very much the Enzo style of football, the Enzo way of thinking. Sean Dyche doesn't fit that criteria. Steve Wilder certainly doesn't need sort of get that criteria. And then you look at Gary O'Neill. He doesn't fit that at all. So what it feels like to me that this club are just picking anybody in who anyone's available who wants it. They're just panicking because they don't know what to do. It's like they've not planned further ahead. They've just gone with it. I referred it with Chris earlier with Brighton. You looked at it when they had Graham Potter. They then appointed Roberto De Zerbi. They played the same way. They then appointed who's the Brighton coach at the minute? I'm trying to think who it is, but someone will put it in the comments.
Yeah.
There's a contingency plan. You can see the module that Brighton want to go in, what direction they go in. With Leicester City, it's just panic mode altogether. Like they don't even. It's like you've got to get the right players in to fit that style of football as well. And you're telling me most of these players at the football club at the minute would fit a Gary O'Neill style of football?
I'll tell you what's happening, Jack. They're selling the club. They're selling the club, man. It's so obvious at this point, in my opinion. They want to sell the club. And they're going for somebody who they think is, I don't know, maybe the cheapest option, but who also maybe is the most stable. Like he's not a maverick. He's not someone who's gonna. There's a risk of being poached. There's not, he's someone who will probably pick up a lot of wins this season, I'm sure. And if we did somehow get promoted, he wouldn't be the worst name to try and keep you up. But like, I think they're selling the club, Jack, and I think that they don't want to spend big money on a manager when they're trying to sell the club. That's just my guess. I think if we were to get promoted again, they would probably sell it. I mean, Armchair Jockey says there if they were selling, they're definitely. People disagree. I think they're selling. I think they're going to sell. Yeah, it's just about when and what they get. But Gary O'Neill. Look, like I said, if we were in the Premier League, he wouldn't be the worst guy, the worst option to try and keep you up. But you could have said that about Steve Cooper. Like, I just didn't think it was the right fit for the club. I didn't think it was the right fit for the squad. And it's the same now. I think somebody like Danny Rohl would have been much more suited to it. And I say it again, why not look elsewhere? Why not look abroad? Why not look at some of the assistant managers that are out there? We did with Enzo Maresca, we were proved right in that case to appoint Enzo Maresca. I feel like they're just being cowardly. I think they're cowards. I think they're taking the easy option, the cheap option. I suppose you could say the thing that they're not cowardly about is the fan reaction, because the fans are not happy. They're going to have to die. They're going to have to die on this hill if they go down the Gary O'Neill or Chris Wilder route. Even Sean Dyche. We took the piss out of Sean Dyche, but Sean Dyche is a better manager than Gary O'Neill. Like, some people hated the idea of Sean Dyche. He's a better choice than Gary O'Neill. I'll tell you that right now. So it's frustrating that we've gone from bad to worse to really bad to even worse to fucking rock bottom, in my opinion. That's what we've done.
Well, Josh, I've actually got something what we can analyse, actually. Talking about Gary O'Neill, I might be a bit positive. Every manager who comes into Leicester City, I will back. I'm not going to sit here and say I won't, because if I don't, then it'd be stupid of me to do so. Like I did back Puel when he came in. I did give him the opportunity. I gave Steve Cooper the opportunity. But let's have a look into this. So Aaron Hoels, if that's how you pronounce it. Gary O'Neill, deep diving for Leicester City fans. What could he bring to the Championship in 25-26? Should he be appointed? Let's break down his journey, tactics, strengths, weaknesses, and how he compares to Rohl, Dyche, and Wilder. So, there he is in a Liverpool kit. He did work in the under-23s at Liverpool. So, before management, O'Neill worked as Liverpool under-23s assistant and helped develop the young talents known for detail, intensity, and the man management aims to build trust early. His foundation shaped his fearless approach at Wolves and Bournemouth. At Bournemouth, he stepped in a mid-crisis. They didn't really have much money to spend, did they, at the time? Then he did step in at Bournemouth. Kept them up against the odds. I think they did go in and beat Leicester at that point. Improved shape, belief and energy, all with one of the smallest budgets, and big respect as a calm, adaptable operator who thrives under pressure. I mean, what's your initial thoughts of that, Locks, looking at the stats from 22-23 with him at Bournemouth?
Well, before we talk about the stats, let me look at that first bit there. At Bournemouth, O'Neill stepped in and kept them up against the odds, improved shape, belief, and energy. Buzzwords, Jack. The buzzwords for managers that lack tactical nous, and it's all on vibes, energy, belief. I find it's the same with Wild. It's the same with Dyche. They're buzzwords in my eyes. What I will say though is, let me see that bit there. Adaptable operator who thrives under pressure. I mean, how did he do under pressure at Wolves, Jack, towards the end? His players were getting into scraps on the halfway line at full time with Ipswich members of staff. Doesn't sound like great under pressure to me. Of course, he kept Bournemouth up. He kept Wolves up in the first season. So, of course, they are positives. But they're only the same positives that we gave Steve Cooper, or that other fans said Steve Cooper would, he's a good fit because he's done this and he's done that at other clubs and kept them up. I just, let me see, 34 games, 39 points, 15th, 11 wins, 7 clean sheets, 37 goals. Yeah. And kept them up with direct, pragmatic football. Ring a bell, Jack? Does that ring a bell? Low possession, but fast transitions, a survival masterclass. The difference here, Jack, Leicester City this season, we will not be able to play that way. We're not going to be a counter-attacking team in the Championship, because teams are going to show up at the King Power and they're going to park the bus and say, come, what can you do to us? We're going to be playing that way.
We've got to be at the blocks from the off, if I'm honest. And you looked at what King did in pre-season against Peterborough. He were more physical, more on the front foot. That's how we want to see Leicester play. A bit more getting into the opponent. We didn't see that last season, did we? They were just too soft, weak and spineless, to be honest, the performances. You need a manager who can bring that real strength mentality-wise to the squad, someone who can adapt very well with the squad that we have, because we've got quite a few young players. Ben Nelson's, Fatawu's, players who are still learning and adapting into the game. But you look at what Gary O'Neill did to Wolves, moving to Wolves after a short spell at Bournemouth, saw his new sides deliver high intensity, quick transitions, a lot of vertical runs, scored 1.5 goals a game versus 0.8 before he joined. Huge improvement in attacking output. This shows that he can transform a team's threat. Flexible setups, 4-2-3-1 is his ideal one against stronger sides, and a 3-4-2-1 to overload wide areas, wing-backs crucial. Midfielders given the freedom to attack and press. A modern approach that suits the Championship ground saw wins against Spurs and the famously Manchester City. I mean, if that don't give you any belief of Gary O'Neill getting his points next season, saying he beat the likes of Manchester City, then I don't know what's going to get you off your seat, to be honest, because that's a little inspiring, I'll be honest. But then again, I've seen Leicester beat Manchester City with some of the managers we've had, like Brendan Rodgers and that, so it's not the first one to do it. Remember when everyone wanted Brendan Rodgers out when he didn't get Champions League football? Now we can't even get Danny Rohl.
If we did that, if we did sack Rodgers after that 5th place finish, we wouldn't be where we're at now. I'll tell you that right now. That was the decision we needed to make. He bottled top 4 twice, despite being in the top 4 for longer than anybody else in the league, if you remember that. 2 years on the bounce, he bottled it, just like he bottled the title at Liverpool. There's clear history there. We should have sacked Rodgers, and then we finished 8th. I mean, we definitely should have sacked him then. But yeah, it's Wolfie's there. Fuck off, Wolfie. I'll tell you what. I say get rid of Wolfie and bring in Dor. Get Dor in instead. Yeah. No, I'm joking.
Matt, how are we, mate? Evening. Got to be the manager announcement this week, surely. Sounds like a no-win situation with latest names. If not Rohl or even Dyche, just put on King. What do you reckon to that? Would Andy King be a bad choice? I know he's not got the experience that some would say, because it's too early in his career to put him in this situation. But if it was the last resort that Andy King would take the job, what do you actually think that he'd bring, and what type of coaches do you think he'd need to help him steady the ship a lot more?
This is what I'm saying, man. Like, it's bottom of the barrel stuff here. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is like this is how bad the options are. Is that we're considering Andy King as our manager? Leicester City, champions of England, FA Cup champions, and we're sat here saying, "Oh, would Andy King be a better fit than the other options out there?" It's bottom of the barrel. I know Manny and Anil, they're kind of they're kind of up for the idea of Andy King, but like, I don't know, mate. I just don't think that's a wise idea. I don't think it's fair. I think that would also be a cowardly move by Top, because they'd hide behind it. You know what I mean? Like, fans wouldn't be as aggy, as aggressive as Moni with Andy King, because he's a legend. And I think that would just, I don't think it's fair on him to do that. I mean, if he wants it, he might want it, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's the right thing for this point in time. Maybe in the future. What about Richie Wellens, Jack? You should.
Yeah.
He was an option, wasn't he, mate? You interviewed him a few weeks ago.
He did say take over. He did. When I asked him, I said, if you ever given the chance to manage Leicester, I said, would you take it? He said, yeah. He said, I'd come back. I said, well, I'll leave you a number. Get back to me.
You could have had Richie Wellens, Andy King, and Chris Powell, mate. Imagine that trio. That would
you could. I think it would work. There's a lot of ruthlessness there, isn't there? There's a lot of defensive offence with Chris Powell. He knows the defence. He knows how to strengthen it up. He was a defender in his time. Richie Wellens, perfect example for a championship midfielder. Very strong-minded. Don't stand no shit, let's be fair. And that's what you want in your coaching staff and all. Someone who's will tell them as it is, because that's what these players need. They need to kick up the backside. Of course they do. Someone who's going to come in and not let them be comfortable, because when you start allowing that, it's the mediocrity with these players that they can go and do what they want and when they want, and obviously that should never be the case. But do you worry you will do a Luton? I don't physically think we will. Luton sold a lot of good players last season, never really got going after, and Rob Edwards ended up leaving. They ended up bringing the Wickham manager in, didn't they, in the end? And he thought he'd keep him up. He never did. And Wickham was doing quite well without him, weren't they, in League One? So I'm not quite sure. I definitely think we ain't going to do a Luton. I know the points deduction is what's going to be the key to this. And this is where we are as a club at the minute. We're in a real mess. And we can't just go and say we want this manager, and this manager. I think it's a situation with how Rudkin and obviously the hierarchy have got us in this mess. We're just going to have to go with what's given, I'm afraid, because there's only 5 people that realistically wanted the job in Leicester.
But we shouldn't accept that. We shouldn't accept that, Jack.
Mediocrity.
Exactly, man. This is the thing that winds me up the most is it is what it is. It is what it is mentality. Accept it mentality. I mean, it's pathetic, to be honest with you. If I see that one more time, it is what it is, or just accept it, or we're not the Leicester of old. I don't know how many times, like, if you only think that there's only 4 managers in world football that want the Leicester job, you're chatting at your ass. Like, it's just not true. There will be a lot more out there that would take the job. It's just we haven't looked that far. We haven't approached them. We haven't spoken to them.
I agree. Let's have a look at they use that word a lot, don't they? Philosophy. Wolves were statistically good in the Premier League with dribbling games, 13.7, tackles up to 19.8, interceptions of 9.1. High energy, front football style, music to the ears of fans who want intensity and bravery. I mean, I don't think I've seen that under Gary O'Neill last season for Wolves, by the way, when we talk about intensity and that. Weaknesses, set pieces, Wolves conceded 20 goals.
I mean, that's just what we need.
That's exactly what we need. That's music to our ears. There's a lot, I've heard that before. Worst in the top 5 leagues, a major flaw. He'll have to fix Leicester if they want promotion stability. Jesus Christ. So let's compare the 4 managers. Rohl, Dyche, Wilder, O'Neill. Danny Rohl brings a high press and youth focus. Sean Dyche brings low block and pragmaticism. Wilder, overlapping centre-backs, risk-taking. O'Neill, balanced, adaptable, pragmatic, but modern, fits Leicester's squad profile best. What's your thoughts on that, Lux?
Go back up to that bit where you just compared them all. There we go. Danny Rohl. I mean, I know this guy says that O'Neill's description there fits the squad profile best, but you're basing that on last season's squad. But we've now got some youngsters coming through that I think are more than capable of playing the Danny Roll way. We're not going to be able to buy loads of players, but we'll be able to get a couple. We'll be able to get some free agents. We'll be able to get a couple of loans, and I'm sure. I just don't see why Danny Roll isn't the best fit, to be honest. And I've said it loads of times, though, Jack, that nobody wants to direct long ball of Dyche. Nobody wants the Russell Martin or Enzo tippy tap. Not everyone, but some people don't want that. So I think Roll's the perfect in between, to be honest with you. But it'd be interesting to know, Jack, who this guy supports, mate. It's either a Bournemouth fan or a Wolves fan, surely.
It's going to be one of them. I'm going to chat that in a minute. So appointing O'Neill isn't a safe Dyche style pick nor a total gamble like Rohl. He's somewhere in between, proven, still evolving and hungry. Could be exactly what Leicester need to bounce back. Leicester fans, thoughts on it? Would you back O'Neill in the dugout next season? Who would you prefer? Let's discuss this. So let's see who Aaron supports, by the way. Oh, he's a Leicester fan.
He's a Leicester fan. Okay,
fair enough. Fair enough.
I
like to see that he's done his homework and that. That's what I like
no, that's
to see.
good because it's not biased. He's doing it from good intentions. Do you know what I mean? It's not bad intentions. It's good intentions that he's done it if he's a Leicester fan. So I respect that. But yeah, I still look, Jack. If you ask me, would I rather Wilder or O'Neill? I probably would sway towards O'Neill, to be honest with you. But it's bottom of the barrel stuff, unfortunately, and it's just super frustrating. The worst thing today for me, Jack, is Rob Dorset saying that the reason Rohl is out of the picture is because it's too complex or too complicated. What that means, Jack, is going to cost them money up front to pay him, to get him out. If £1 million is too complicated for you, then boy, we are in a mess. It was the same last year with Corberan. They're fine. They're fine to they don't want to pay compensation, but they're fine to pay $8 million for Jordan Ayew, and they're fine to pay $20 million for Skip. They're happy to pay over the odds for bang average players, but they're not happy to pay a couple £1 million for really good managers. It's extremely frustrating.
I agree with what Richard says there. Early starts, fixtures were difficult. I'd give him some slack, but for fuck's sake, top, sort it out. It was a tough start for him last season at Wolves, but they did sell a lot of their best players, didn't they, to make money. They never reinvested back in the team. It reminds me of Van Nistelrooy last season, where he got offered certain things and it never progressed, and Wolves did offer him to bring players in. They never did. One that I did want to bring up regarding O'Neill is LCFC data. He's quite good with his data, to be fair, with Leicester City. First half, pragmatic, well respected, common perception, actually was pretty impressive at Wolves for the most part of it. Not last season. Well, probably a part of last season. He struggled after having the key players sold and money wasn't reinvested. He also had the hardest opening fixtures. We know best how important confidence can be in the squad. He was probably a bit naive at times, but I'd hope he's learned from his experience. I believe he's a good coach and who deserves a chance.
Look, I like LCFC data on the most part, but I think he's chatting out of his arse. I'm sorry. They finished 14th, Jack. Right. So what LCFC data says is he did well when he had good players, but when he lost to good players, he did badly. Well, no shit, Sherlock. He was 14th in the Premier League, and I think they probably had the 14th or 15th best squad that season. I don't think he overachieved or anything like that. I think he did okay with Wolves in that first year, and then he lost Kilman, right? And he lost another one or two, and then they were bottom. They weren't bottom, but they were like 19th, 18th, beneath Steve Cooper's Leicester.
Yeah.
And what happened when they sacked him, Jack? What happened when Wolves sacked him?
They got better.
Much better. Much better. So I don't buy it. I don't buy one bit what LCFC. For the record, I like LCFC. I like some of the stuff he does. I'm just saying, I just don't agree with his outlook on O'Neill, to be honest.
Ez has got a good one here. Rohl could be in a legal battle, to be honest. Could you see that happening? Maybe something's maybe in his contract somewhere the legal bits, it can be hard to sort of surpass. Maybe that's why it's taking a longer time than it should with Danny Rohl.
Well, it's a release clause, so if you pay it, it's issue resolved. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say, Jack? Like, if we're trying to get him on the free, and he's trying to get his way out of his contract, then that's a different story. But there's a release clause. If Leicester City pay the release clause, then it's done. They can get him. Just quickly to Aaron in the chat, as far as everything I've read, they have paid Rohl in full. Chansiri is a madman, but he's not dumb. He knows that
compensation. That's what they've done.
They've got to pay him. They've got to, because they know that he can walk away on a free. So they've paid Rohl because they know that he'll just walk. So, if you want Rohl enough, go and pay for him. Go and pay the compensation. It's a release clause. Legally, there is nothing Sheffield Wednesday can do about it. If you meet the release clause, he can join you. It's as simple as that. So I don't buy the whole legal battle or it's complicated thing. It's not complicated. Just pay the fucking fee. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. I mean, he is ruled out, according to Rob Dorset. Sean Dyche is ruled out as well. They're very much out of the picture. As you suspect with Leicester City, it looks like they've hit a bit of a brick wall again, as they did with Graham Potter. When they wanted Graham Potter, they set out for a while. They got frustrated because Graham Potter took his time and Graham Potter wanted to ask a lot of questions. And then they panicked and brought in Steve Cooper. This sort of sees where it is a football club. It's you've got to be strong-minded in making these big decisions. And if you can't do that, who's hiring these people who can't do them decisions is quite a maze to me. Why
you shouldn't run the football club if you're too cowardly to make a big decision.
Too naive.
Exactly. You should not be making these decisions if you're too scared to make the decision.
We'll all put a quid in.
Yeah.
We'll do the quid up.
Yeah, for sure. But like, Jack, let me ask you this, mate, because I don't know about you. I've been saying this for a few months now, but it's quite obvious that the club leak stuff when it suits their needs, right? So, do you remember in December when they leaked to John Percy that Leicester were just going to be targeting cheap fullbacks, and then we went and signed Boyo Koulibaly? Why can't they leak if they want Rohl and they have to wait for whatever reason there might be for having to wait? Leak it, man. Because if the fan base is aware that the reason for the delay is that you're trying to get Rohl, the fans will be a lot more patient with you. But they don't do this. They don't talk to fans. So because of that, as far as we're concerned, we've waited till the 7th of July just to interview Gary O'Neill. That's inexcusable. But if we were aware that they're waiting for Rohl and that's why there's a delay, then we will be a little bit, we'll be more patient with them. So
that's my frustration. And I said it today to a few friends. I said they're very private. They don't let anything you don't hear anything from Leicester City. That's because they're not doing anything. That's what it is. It's not that they are doing something. They're taking a long time to even do these things. It's like Rookie were on the phone the other day. And I'm thinking, who are you talking to, mate? Do you want to sort of come down here and let me talk to the person? I'll tell them as it is. I want to know these things, Rookie, mate. You come and answer my questions. You won't, though. That's the thing, These fans want answers. And if Top's not there to sit in these sort of Q&As and that, Rookie should do it. Or Wheeler, or someone like that, to give us a sort of inkling to what is exactly happening and what is the initial... Because Leicester City has got, 34 days? We've left it so long now to bring in a new manager. We're just under 5 weeks to a new season. Other teams have planned. Sheffield Wednesday and Leicester City have not brought anybody in. They've not sold anybody. And people say, Sheffield Wednesday's in a real bad position. They are. They're only allowed to reply to one email a day. I mean, it's not good enough, is it, to be fair? 100%.
I've just seen, Jack... Sorry, mate. I was just going to say, I've just seen Alan Briggs has just confirmed Henrik Pedersen is joining up with Sheffield Wednesday's training camp at St. George's Park. Sounds like he will take charge of the group, strengthens the belief he will step up in place of Danny Rohl. So, I mean, if they're just, it sounds, I don't know about you, mate. For the last 10 days, everything has pointed to the fact Danny Rohl is leaving Sheffield Wednesday. Like,
Yeah.
why can't you get him, man? Unless, Jack, we're all being played like fools. Danny Rohl is the man. Danny Rohl will be coming. No panic, no problems. Gary O'Neill's a smokescreen. Sean Dyche is a smokescreen. Danny Rohl will be the next Leicester manager. That would be perfect.
That would be something special, that. Let's be fair. Clubs have done it in the past, haven't they, where they've gone to somebody. I mean, Rob Dorsett does have quite a bit to do with the club, by the way. So he could be very much getting different things from the club to say, go and tweet this, Rob. We are working on Danny Rohl, but go and put Gary O'Neill's name in there. Go and put Sean Dyche's name in there and everybody else, and then bosh. Danny Rohl becomes the next man by the end of the week. But you never know. But would the club be smart enough to do that, Locks? Is the question.
I mean, it would be an easy win for the club. This is what we were saying earlier, Jack, right? I've said this so many times, mate, that an easy win.
Sorry.
I was going to say, Jack, right? An easy win for Top would be to sack Rudkin. I've said, we've all said this for months. Top, mate, what are you doing? Just sack Rudkin. You've got an easy win there. You've got, people will be like, yeah, nice one, Top. An easy win here is to do exactly what you just said. Get a couple of people to leak some stuff to the press, make it sound like it's not going to be Danny Rohl, and then boom, Danny Rohl's in. If that happened, Leicester fans would be absolutely buzzing if we wake up tomorrow morning or Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, Danny Rohl's the manager. But Jack, like you say, Rob Dorsett's connected. And also, would a journalist purposely leak fake information, which will then put his reputation at risk? I'm not sure on that.
Some do. Some don't, but they do.
What,
get
Peter O'Rourke?
Well, that one went quite quickly, didn't it? As soon as the player said it's negotiations and not actually leaving the football club. So, I don't know. Breaking news: final whistle interview scheduled for tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. I mean, Ross, I'll decline that straight away. That is not happening. That's false speculation. Whatever you've heard that from, probably John Percy or. I mean, Locks is going to be my number 2. He didn't tell you about that, did he? We're going to go in together to that boardroom, go and meet up with Rudkin, and we're going to talk about the future of Leicester City and what comes next season.
3-year deal, 50 grand a week, nice one.
Oh, yeah, we want big money for this job because
we'll bring Rob Tanner in as the. Yeah, I was going to say we'll bring Rob Tanner in as the comms director. Yeah, get him in. Yeah.
Get Nigel Pearson back to work alongside Andy King as a mentor because they worked together at Bristol City. Who was linked before Enzo?
Scott Parker.
Right, that was the one that Locks were on about, wasn't he? He was certain that Scott Parker would come into the football club and then it never. That's what I mean. These names do get bandied about. There's a lot of speculation. Sean Dyche got mentioned last week. Danny Rohl's been mentioned ever since the Sheffield Wednesday thing of leaving the club.
But the Scott Parker thing, it came out, didn't it? He was interviewed. Scott Parker apparently was offered the job. I'm sure that came out since. He was offered the job and he apparently turned it down. So, which we now know.
Rangers.
Well, yeah, but if you believe, like you said, if you believe certain people, Russell Martin was offered the job and he turned it down for Rangers. Yeah, so who knows, mate? No one knows what's going on inside that boardroom, unfortunately.
So, Gary O'Neill, then, is it one that you want? Obviously, let's talk about youth in the setup. We've got Mongo, we've got Page, we've got who else have we got? Jake Evans,
Luco,
Wanya, Marcel. We've got the young midfielder as well, haven't we? Jaden Joseph. Let me touch on something actually before you answer this one. So Gary O'Neill, I've been doing some digging on his youth systems while managing Bournemouth and Wolves, emphasised the importance of developing a strong academy for the club's long-term success. He highlighted the limitations of their current Category 3 academy status and challenges imposed by the geographical location in attracting top young talent. He's recognised the significant impact a high-quality academy could have on Bournemouth's ability to produce and attract promising players. I did put a tweet out earlier on about Wolverhampton Wanderers. He expressed a strong interest in integrating youth players into the first team. He emphasised the importance of the academy in producing talented players and creating a clear pathway to them success. He believes in promoting youth players is not beneficial for the club, especially with financial constraints, but also provides an excellent opportunity for them to develop and potentially become key players. So read of that what you will regarding Gary O'Neill. We have spoke about somebody to come in and emphasise and utilise the academy players. What do you read from that with our young stars coming through at the minute who look very promising?
I mean, I know you were there, mate, the other day, taking photos with Andy King and all these, and Monger, I think I saw, and taking photos of Rodkin on his phone. Mate, I tell you what, it made me laugh. You know, he was about 100 feet away and he was still covering his mouth like there's like, yeah, you get wilder on the phone, lads. You know what I mean? But look, mate, how impressive was that? You know, that match. I know it was against Peterborough, but seeing some of these youngsters, you know, the intensity they brought, the skill, the pace, the confidence, they look brilliant. And not only just the really young ones, Jack, but also the slightly older ones. Ben Nelson, how calm did he look, man? He looks an incredible defender. So Jeremy Unger on the left, obviously we saw what he could do last season anyway, but you know, he continued it with momentum, and Aluko and Lewis Page, you know, one that not too many have heard of. But he was incredible. There's obviously been the rumours today that he's not signed a contract, and then it came out that he's just negotiating. It's the golden generation of Seagrave, mate. That's it. You know what I mean? It's the best group of players to come through Leicester City's academy at the same time. You know, ever probably, and the more we can keep hold of, the more exciting it is, and it's the future, mate. We need to get back to this place where we can then go and sell a Monger and Evans and a Luco for 40, 50, 60 million pounds in the future. That's how you become a self-sustaining club like we used to be. No buying Dakas and Vestergaards, all of this, you know, none of that. Just sell the players, big price, and then bring in young players with high potential again on a low price, and you just repeat the process. And by the way, Jack, just addressing the comment there from Mr. Fatawu.
Yeah.
There is, of course, as always, a flight tracker going on Twitter right now. Top is on his way back to Leicester as we speak after 24 hours back in Bangkok. So 24 hours he's been back in Thailand and he's coming back. It's out there. LCFC, I'll tell you now if anybody wants to see it. It's called Chris LCFC 1884. Yeah, he's put the tracker up. So I'll link it to you, Jack, so you can take a look.
Maybe another manager's come in at the last minute. Someone who we've not thought about or even got name mentioned.
Maybe Rodkin.
Like no one was expecting it, and then bang, there he is.
Yeah,
and there we go. So that's my positive for Gary O'Neill, the youth system. He works it quite well, but his stats, it just doesn't add up. It did work well at Wolves at the start when he did take over, but it fizzled out, and it turned out how bad he actually was. Bournemouth, again, he worked with what he had, and he then obviously got the sack. I think they won 10 games in 24. So it's not really great, to be fair, but probably a polo match. No, we don't do that, do we? When we'll either O'Neill be appointed. What's your thoughts on Chris Wilder? He's got promoted to Sheffield United. If you had to choose your specific manager, who would be top three if you look at all the names that have been bandied about? And don't say Wayne Rooney.
Danny Rohl, Sean Dyche, Gary O'Neill. No, I don't know, mate. It's honestly, Jack. It's Danny Rohl and then the rest. Like honestly, I can't. I sent you the link, by the way, on Twitter, but to the top thing. But like it's Danny Rohl and the rest, mate. Like I just can't. Wilder at the bottom, I would say. Wilder at the rock bottom. Yeah.
He spent loads and failed last season, points deduction or not. Well, he only got 2 points? We had 2 points deducted, Sheffield United. And then he fell out with the board. And if he speaks openly about our board, he's going to be gone quicker than he signs that contract. Let's be fair, Chris Wilder.
Yeah, and one of the reasons they got rid of him because he's stuck in his ways, and they want to go down more of a modern thinking, data-driven route, and he wasn't having any of it, so they got rid. Yeah.
This is where I feel Leicester should be locked. You look at Danny Rohl, you look at Kieran McKenna, Will Steele, managers like that. What you've mentioned on your channel, which I've obviously been a part of them shows, and they're what we should be looking at. Data-driven managers, someone who can offer something, and someone who's worked the way from the top. Because Wilder's fossil football, it is. It's one way and that's it. Sean Dyche, Brexit football, hasn't got anything else. But Danny Rohl would be the man for me, but it looks very much like he is out of the picture unless something major happens over these next coming hours, with Top reportedly coming back to the UK. So hopefully he's bringing that £1 million cash with him, because we're going to need it.
In a briefcase.
Maybe social media regarding Gary O'Neill and Chris Wilder, and he's seen the fans ain't happy, so we'll leave it at that one. But
yeah, you're right, mate. Right, mate. I need to jump, by the way, Jack, mate. I need to jump off. But
take care.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, mate. Hopefully we'll have some news very soon as well, mate. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Before I let you go, though, plug your channel. Let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah, Blue Tick Glasses, obviously. Wednesday night will be, well, I say Wednesday night next. It'll probably be tomorrow, won't it? It depends on what news comes out. Of course, if there is more news worth talking about, then we'll do that tomorrow. But if not, Wednesday, 7 p.m, Fox's Den. It's going to be manager chat, Jack, innit? That's all you can really talk about at the minute. Manager. So, yeah.
Appreciate it. Cheers, Locks.
All right, mate. All the best. Cheers for having me. See you soon.
That was Locks. Right, if any of you are still watching, hit that like button, by the way, if you've enjoyed the stream or the chat so far. Subscribe to the channel if you know and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. It'll help me out massively as well if you can all do that. There's 159 of you in the chat tonight, so big up your damn selves, by the way. Really appreciate everyone coming in, giving their views, whether you're happy with Rohl, O'Neill, Wilder, whoever. It could be your wildest dreams. Let's be fair. But Leicester City are still without a manager. They hope to appoint someone by the end of the week, by the way, and we're trusting this to bloody be matter of fact. And maybe someone might come in at the last minute. Who knows? Jackie Boy, would you? No, not at all. O'Neill or Wilder, Jack, if you had to choose. Ooh. See, Wilder has got championship promotion, and I get it, but his Premier League, it's relegated and become like the worst team. Gary O'Neill, proven he can work in the two leagues, let's be fair. He is very much youth system as well, what he can use to it effectively. I think we need somebody who's going to use the youth to their advantage. And O'Neill is, well, he saved Bournemouth, didn't he? Did all right at the start of Wolves, but never worked out in the end. Who would I want out of the two? I tell you what, I'm going to go O'Neill. If you gave me a third choice, I'd probably end up with the third choice over them two, but I don't know. Jack, why can't I see... That definitely ain't there, mate. So I don't know what you're bloody chatting. Might need my bloody glasses to wipe, mate. It might be a stick and I'm joking. You believe me there, wouldn't you? Rough breaking new top at Sheffield owners having a boxing match over Rohl. Appreciate your positivity though, all the negative. The thing is, with football, you've got to see both sides of the ball, innit? You've got to see the positive side in the middle and the other side. There's two sides of everything. There's not all just negatives about everything. There's a few positives which I've tried to analyse, and I've analysed some negatives as well. We have spoken negatively. We've done both sides of the argument tonight, should we call it? Because if I sat there and been negative all the time, people would probably switch off and think I ain't watching that again. Still no striker. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And we've left it late, haven't we, to appoint a manager? We were relegated 70 odd days ago against Liverpool. Van Nistelrooy got sacked. last week, and well, yeah. So, well, the week before last week. It just proves we haven't planned. We haven't planned in the way we want to go about things, and that's the most frustrating thing, isn't it? And if it is, there will be a strike every game in the Championship. I mean, that guy's very honest, let's be fair. Without a manager, we are not making any player moves. We need to get some players off the books. Charles, I agree, mate. I very much agree. Charles, if you do want to come on, mate, give me, well, what we got, about 15 minutes before we end this stream. So if you want to come in and have a chat with me, Charles, it'd be good to have you on. Obviously, being a Dallas Fox and that, we appreciate everything. Whoever comes in, exactly that. Scott Backham. We knew it was going to be hard with Steve Cooper backing him, but most did. Would you take Callum Wilson if you kept him fit and he were promised to never get injured again? I would very much take him if he never got injured again. If you promised me that, he's proven he can do it in the Championship, but that guy would be wages galore. That's what I'd stay away with. Josh Brownhill, I'd take if you gave him like low wages, a 2-year contract. I think I'd have snapped your hand off for it. Hijack Leeds fan in peace. It took us 16 years to recover. It will take you 2 at the most. Be lucky. Yeah, I remember that under, was it Ken Bates were at Leeds? Absolute shocking how Leeds got treated back then, by the way. Didn't we buy Casper? We brought Casper Schmeichel from you. O'Neill has proven a track record of failure, same as Wilder, same as Dyche. This is what I'm saying regarding the pragmatic side of poaching. Dyche has never been poached. Wilder's never been poached. And neither is Gary O'Neill. Maybe because they've not done a spectacular job. But I always have to look at different aspects of games and what different managers have to offer you. We did Danny Rohl the other day. We did Sean Dyche a few weeks ago with Jacob Horsfall. Craig, big up, man. Craig, come in and have a chat. Keith from EastEnders. That was him. Keith from EastEnders. I can see... where are we? Here we are. Craig, I do apologise about calling you Charles.
That's okay. I don't take the insult.
I do apologise. Right. Craig, give me your initial thoughts about the news today. Different managers have been mentioned. Could be the question mark on Danny Rohl, that it is difficult to get a deal done. It does look like he's out the picture for now, potentially, but... What's your initial thoughts on Wilder and the links to Gary O'Neill? Does it excite you at all? Does it really get you off your seat?
Neither one of them really excite me either way, but the talk of actually hiring or the potential to hire a manager is exciting because right now we've been sitting too long without one because we know Ruud was out as soon as we got relegated, even though he was there. And we're waiting too long to get past this July 1st deadline for financial and everything. And it's just getting crazy. We need to get someone in because we've got to get some things going, especially getting guys off our books who are costing us too much money than we can't afford, and maybe get some young players in that we can't afford.
What's your thoughts on the setup at Leicester?
As far as like the board and all that?
Yeah, what's your initial thoughts on the whole situation? So we can't pick and choose one, can we?
So I think it was really interesting. I think I heard you earlier this morning talking about how we don't really have anybody who's making a decision. We have it's like a group of people are making decisions. And typically, if you don't have a single person in charge, that almost means nothing gets done. And that's part of our problem. You have one person in charge who gets input from everybody else, but in the end, they make a decision. And it doesn't seem like we have anybody in charge at Leicester right now who's making those decisions or who's willing to step up and take it. Because, they probably don't want the pressure of making the wrong decision. And guess what? When you're in charge, it happens. That's the job.
It is the job, I agree. And there's been many bad decisions with Leicester, which have cost us, 2 relegations in 3 seasons, the Championship win papered over the cracks very much so.
Yeah.
The shit show of last season, the downhill spiral of Leicester City has been quite something. Let's be fair. The fall-off of everything is mad.
Yeah, but I'm still planning on coming over this fall to see a few matches, despite what's going on. So I'm gonna make my way over again, like I did last year. At least make it to like 2 or 3 matches, and I'm still gonna support them. I'm still gonna do what I always do, but in the end, it still doesn't mean I'm not angry with how they're running the club, and it's not disappointing how the club's being run. But I'm supporting the players on the pitch. I'm going to get behind the manager up until the point where we need to make a change, but otherwise they're going to give my support until we're there. It's just difficult to do that with the leadership we have.
Talk to me about players. Obviously, we're
Yeah.
bringing quite a lot of young players through at the minute. Obviously, some look better than the first team players the other day when we did play against. What's your initial thoughts on the team for next season? How many do we realistically need to get rid of, and who would you get rid of, and who would you keep?
Well, so let's talk about that real quick. There's the guys that we need to get rid of simply because of payroll, right? They're just too much money. So we could talk maybe a Skip. We could definitely talk Cordova Reed. What's the other guy who I always want to forget? Um, who scored all the goals for us last year? I can't even remember his name now. That's how much I want to forget him. Yeah, Jordan Ayew. Yeah, those are the guys we really need to get off our payroll more than anything else, because they're blocking other people from getting the opportunities. Our younger guys from getting the opportunities. We just need to get them out. I hate to say it, people we probably need to sell simply from the wage or from a money standpoint would be like Mads, right? Someone we could get some value from. It's unfortunate to have to do that, but I mean that's someone we have to do. Now, back to your question about as far as the players, I watched the first half on Saturday. It was really exciting for like 10 minutes. And then it turned into let's just do possession. So it was like last season, which is a lot of possession, but no generating of opportunities to score, right? I think we had 3 shots, 1 on goal in the first half. What I describe it as there was no sense of urgency. And I don't know if that's the players still holding back to that Enzo style type of possession. Maybe Andy King just didn't inspire him that much or told him to play that way. I'm not really sure. But there was no sense of urgency. And you're playing against Peterborough, who you probably should have been a little more dominant on, even with the young players, even with a Golding, in there, and some of the other Jake Evans. You should have been more dominant in the second half. Kind of were, but also had some opportunities there in the second half, from what I understand, where they gave up some chances to Peterborough. So I think it's exciting. I look forward to seeing our young players in the championship, because I think it gives them the opportunity to get experience and grow that they're not going to get in the Premier League. And this is going to set them up for the next 2 years, right? We may not get promoted this coming year, but year after, these guys are going to have tons of championship experience, tons of experience playing with guys who have Premier League experience because they've been relegated or aren't able to play in the Premier League anymore. And it's going to set them up for more success in the next year or two.
One question I want to ask you. So, say I put you in the hot seat with being a director of football. You might be quite knowledgeable on something like this, but if you looked at Leicester City from a standpoint now, what would be your sort of contingency plan and longevity? How would you sort of see it going forward? What would you be planning?
Honestly, my plan would be, who can I get in here to get us back into the Premier League with our players that we have now, really more than anything else. Maybe a striker, that's one thing. Maybe one other person, but we need to learn how to do this with the players we have now, which means we need someone experienced. We need someone who can do that. I know Sean Dyche is not a popular manager, and he also tends to deal with older players versus younger players. But he is someone who commands authority, people that we will listen to, and I think he's someone who could do that. Now, my issue is that once we get back promoted, we need to go out and spend bukus of money to get someone to keep us in the Premier League, both manager and players. And I don't think that would be whoever we get today or who we get this year to manage us. I don't think that's who it's going to be. Whoever we get now is going to be the person to get us in the Premier League, and then we're going to get somebody else. And whether that's say it's a Dyche and we go and get someone other manager, or say it's a young person like a O'Neill or a Rohl, and they get a better job because of it, like they did like Enzo did. That's what's going to happen. So,
what's your initial thoughts ahead of next season? Obviously, the new manager is going to be coming in. Well, hopefully this week. Then you've got the plan of the ins and outs. The points deduction scenario, PSR comes to play quite a lot, doesn't it? In this scenario, what do you think the plan is for next season, Craig? Realistically, for Leicester, is it to get back to the Premier League, or some would say build with the younger ones, get them a lot more experience than that, but then surely that would hit you financially because the Premier League is the financial way forward.
Yeah, unfortunately, with what's going to happen probably when it comes to PSR, points deduction, whatever they want to put on us, I think we're going to have a lot of problems with basically even making it to the play-in games, right? My think is if we get no points deduction, we're going to be up there at top 6, top 7. If we get a points deduction, I think we're going to have trouble getting top 10. Simply because of the number of points. If it's more than 10, I think it's going to be, if it's at 12, 15 range people are talking about, I don't think we're going to struggle to make top 10. If it's less than 10, I think we'll probably be top 10, but we probably struggle to get top 6, which is fine. Again, I think it's fine as long as we grow as a team and we grow our younger players and it sets ourselves up for that next season, because that next one's where we need to go. We need to get our financial situation worked out now, take care of all this PSR, points deduction stuff, get through that, survive it. We can't pull, who was it that got dropped last year? And I can't remember who it is Luton. We can't pull Luton and go Premier Championship back down to League One. We can't do that. We have to survive. We need to survive this one season. Our goal should be survival, top 10. And then season 2, that's our push to win the championship, get promoted back.
Richard talks about experience. Most people experience and bad experience in football. As managers, we need a new, fresh direction with the youth team being vital. Is that how you see the new manager, Craig, coming in? Is that where you think, we need a manager who can be vital to bring in these youth players in next season and giving them an opportunity to build the experience and maybe reshuffle the pack a little bit?
Well, having a young manager doesn't mean that he's going to be able to work with young players and provide them that experience, because maybe they don't have that experience. That's part of the problem. Is what do you want to pick? Someone who works with young players or someone who has experience? Because people who work with young players don't always have the experience, and that's what you have to figure out. Where's your balance? But when you're interviewing these guys, you have to have an agreement. If you're an experienced manager who has a tendency to play X way, you're going to have to tell them, okay, before you accept your job, you have to understand these are the players you have. This is it. And oh, by the way, we're selling off you and Cordova Reed, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to be stuck with Evans and Manga and all these guys. And so you're going to have to make it work. It's one of those lines. What do you want to do? Do you want to have someone young, inspire the youth, or do you want to have someone who's experienced and be able to teach them? There's your problem. And I'm not saying Rohl or O'Neill can't teach younger players. I'm not saying they're not that experienced, but they're not battle tested. That's for sure. If you look at a Sean Dyche, and I keep bringing his name up just because he's mentioned by all the reports out there, he's battle tested, right? He really is. So it's really what you're looking for as far as if I'm an owner, if I'm top, what do I want to do? Do I want someone who's just going to give me back the Premier League, or I want someone who's going to grow my team? And that's something they got to agree to on that interview process before they even hire somebody.
I agree. I think that's something they've got to get right, the way they want to play football and the longevity plan, because Leicester always talk about philosophies, don't they? The long-term vision. You go from Enzo's sort of 5-6 year plan, that what he had planned for Leicester, and then he got poached by Chelsea. But then you went to Steve Cooper and then got worse bloody downhill by Ruud van Nistelrooy, and it's just like, what is the contingency plan at Leicester? It's like we've set ourselves up to fail. And it's like no thought process has gone through these decisions, and that's what's cost us the most.
I think it all goes back to 2018 and when we lost our owner and when we lost the chairman. And And I think
Yeah.
we spent a couple of years in turmoil, and I think we spent a couple of years getting his son up to speed on the football operations side versus the King Power business side,
Mm.
right? And so I think someone's mentioned, hey, he's a nice guy. He's kind of, kind of shy, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's great, but that still doesn't mean you can't be a shrewd business person, and you can be a shrewd owner of a football team. I just think there was a 2-year period, maybe a 3-year period, where it was just a struggle for them to figure out what they want to do and struggle with their identity. And I think that's where you see, we didn't make a good decision with Brandon Rodgers. We should have let him go early on and bring someone in. When we let him go, we did not have somebody in place to take over. It still took like 2 weeks to bring someone in. Again, not being prepared, not good decision making. And I think that's a trickle down effect from the accident in 2018. And I think we're still coming out of that. I think that's one of the reasons people are saying, hey, Power's not doing as well as a business. Top right now is not interested in the football club. He's more worried about the business, things like that. I think his head is still clouded because of all that, and he's just finally getting the fog out. Hopefully this will get fixed this season. Now they've been relegated twice.
Craig, I've got one question for you before I let you go. Who would you want as the next manager?
If we could get him to stick around, if we could do it right, in my opinion, it would be Sean Dyche. There's got to be understanding. Number one, you got to understand it's a 2-year project to get us back in the Premier League. And number two, when we get it back to the Premier League, there's no guarantee you're going to keep your job.
I'm in agreement. Terry talks about the I'll just take a new shirt at the moment. Obviously, Leicester City haven't got a new shirt at this minute to provide, have they?
Well, I'll have to tell you, it's funny. We just this past week, like 3 days ago, we started being able to have the ability to purchase merchandise from the Leicester website. Here in the States, we've been blocked for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And I think last Wednesday or Thursday, we got the ability to purchase stuff now. So yeah, if you live in the States and you want a new shirt from Leicester, you can buy them now. They're available. So we're no longer blocked here in the States.
Fantastic. Davis, do you guys think that Top Matter brought the club as far as he can with everything taken into account?
Yeah, I do.
A more personal question, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do. I think it's one of these times where from again, he's not experienced with the football side. He's more experienced on the business side. He should have brought someone in, and maybe Rudkin was supposed to be that person. But we've seen how that, or at least from our perspective, fan perspective, how that hasn't really turned out as well. I really think he should have brought someone in to really lead the football club in that capacity, because I don't think Rudkin's done it. I don't think he was prepared to do it. I think he just had too much going on that he couldn't focus and learn from it.
Craig, appreciate you coming on. First time on the channel. Let everybody know what goes on at the Dallas Foxes in America.
Yeah, Dallas Foxes, local club, fan club here, and supporter club here in the Dallas, Texas area. We have our own YouTube channel at Foxes on the Box. We do like a show a week. Charles, you mentioned Charles. You're like, hey, is this Charles?
Hey.
Charles and I get around and banter with each other. I make fun of him for being retired and not having a job. He makes fun of me for having a job. So, but for us, we are later on. We usually come on 6 or 7 at night, which is like midnight for you guys. So, yeah. But anyway, check us out at Foxes on the Box. You can't. There we go. At Foxes on the Box. And so, yeah, we're actually doing a show tonight. We're going to be talking about. The manager's going to talk about the game this week, and hopefully we'll have some more news that we can jump on just like you do, Jack, and have a new manager sometime this week.
Appreciate it coming on. Appreciate all your work at the Dallas Foxes. We do. It's good to get American Foxes on, isn't it? The Dallas Foxes, different fan groups and that. So it's good to express different opinions with and chat, and because we all feel the same pain supporting Leicester City. So we're not far apart, even though we might be bloody thousands of miles apart from one country to another. But it's all good. But
that's right. We all still bleed blue, right? We bleed blue.
That's it.
So,
that's the main thing. The roller coaster, it never stops at Leicester City, and I think that's what we are as a football club. But Craig, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it, and all the best. That was Craig from Dallas Foxes. Guys, hit the like button if you enjoyed this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Let me know your initial thoughts on everything. If you're watching this on Playback, let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed regarding analysing Gary O'Neill. What's good, what's bad, and what's next for Leicester City, because they look to appoint a manager by the end of the week, or probably Wednesday, Thursday, whenever it is. But yeah, we'll try and keep updated with it as much as possible. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great rest of the evening, wherever you're up to, and keep it at the final whistle.